Hello there, sword friends. Today I'm going to make a correction video about the review I made on the Atrim Type 17B sword. Now I'm going to leave that review up in its original format so everyone can see my errors, but basically I've been corrected on a number of things from fellow sword friends like you providing information in the commentary, as well as Mr. Trim himself, and it's relevant information. I should correct it, so I'm going to do that now. The first and most egregious error that I made is that this is in fact a Type 18B sword, not a Type 17B sword. Now, I have a lot of difficulty, as I noted before, understanding the differences in the Oakshot typology system and looking at a medieval longsword and figuring out which one it fits into. Is it a Type 15, a 16, a 17, an 18, a Type banana? I don't necessarily know, and I can't easily spot and tell you which one it should fit into. I know which swords I like when I see them, but I can't necessarily classify them myself, and that's due to my ignorance and lack of knowledge, most likely, because smarter people than me are certainly able to do so. In any case, this sword is a Type 18B12. That is what Mr. Trim was trying to make, and that's what I should be classifying it by. Now, as I try to do research in that category, I'm as lost as I was when I made the original review. Nevertheless, that is the typology it's supposed to be, and so there you go. I should also note, from a historical context, I'm a shit student of history, but an important note is that this sword is not necessarily used as a weapon of war, but likely as a weapon for dueling. Now, I don't exactly get the historical context around it, but that is information that was provided by Mr. Trim, so I should think of it as a dueling sword as opposed to something whacked into plate armor or something like that. One other significant bit of incorrect information I provided was the contact information for Mr. Trim should you be interested in procuring his wares. Mr. Trim noted that you were able to contact him through Longship Armory if you're interested in discussing a sword or a project or want to buy something, so do so here at the Longship Armory. Some other notes that have come up as Mr. Trim suggested that the rattle in the handle was something that happened after it left his shop, but Sword Trim Matt actually noted that he noticed the issue when he was playing around with the sword. It didn't necessarily impact usage, which is certainly what I found as well. When I was swinging the sword around, I didn't feel the handle rattling inside. It was only when I gave the pommel a good whack did I notice that anything vibrated inside the handle. So it's a little bit obscure. Maybe Mr. Trim didn't notice. In any case, Mr. Trim said that it didn't leave his shop that way, and Sword Trim Matt said he got it that way. So maybe somebody at the post office was having a little chagrins and cutting cardboard boxes at the post office. Not entirely sure. In any case, it's worth noting. The last bit that I'm going to touch on is one important note that I made about Angus Trim's previous work to his new work. I noted that the newer sword felt a little bit more refined than the previous and older model. Now, Mr. Trim is in a constant state of learning. He makes a lot of swords, and hopefully you would learn from that process, which he seems to do, and he tries to take what he's learned and put it into his newer products. So as a customer, that's awesome. You can take with some certainty that the swords that he's making today have some sort of knowledge behind them that he's garnered over the past, and that's being put into the product that you're purchasing. Unfortunately, not everything has improved over the last decade. While his understanding of dynamics and handling are certainly poured into the products that he makes, his lines wander a little bit, and Mr. Trim mentioned as much to me that in the last decade, maybe it's because of age, maybe it's because of a stroke he had a decade ago, his lines perhaps wander a little bit. Now, I showed that as much in the review. However, I wouldn't say that they wander so much that it looks really bad. You kind of have to get up pretty close to it to notice some of those things, and even then they're a minor irritation rather than something that's going to impede performance. And I suppose that's the real thing to note. If you care about that kind of thing, it's worth noting. It would be very disappointing to spend your hard-earned money on something only to get it and immediately be unhappy with it because a line wandered. And if those are things that irritate you, you should know that they exist. However, I would venture a guess that most people really don't care, or if they have to choose between performance-cutting characteristics and having a really refined instrument feel in their hand versus having really pristine, pretty lines and something that isn't as refined, they would probably choose the performance characteristics over the aesthetic characteristics. At least that's my impression. And if that's also what you want, then you get the benefit of Mr. Trim's understanding of handling and dynamics, which are certainly tangible in the hand. And I stand behind what I said. This feels like a very refined instrument in my hand. Whether it is a Type 17 or a Type 18 or a Type banana, it is a very, very fun feeling sword in the hand, and I am glad I got to play with it for as long as I did. Unfortunately, I need to send it back to Sword Trim Matt now, so I hope that the corrections have been helpful. You are welcome to laugh at me, and if you think I missed anything else, throw it in the commentary down below. As always, cheers, and thanks for watching.